Weenie. Would you like to come say hello, Weenie? The spot is available right here, Weenie. Your audience awaits. Oh, perfect spot. Hey friends, welcome back to another pizza party. I'm Mrs. Pizza. This, surprisingly heavy dog is Weenie. And probably, I'm just going to say with confidence, in her cheese spot. There she is. There's the cheese. And we are here today to start 24 hours of horror. Just lightning cracks and scary noises. I made it dramatic on purpose. We are going to spend the next 24 hours reading horror books because I got the time, I got the will, and I make the rules. At least for this video, you know? I have some control over something. We are here to start this video. You would not believe it. I'm currently time traveling. And I've already read for 24 hours, but I use the timer method because I am ancient and I need sleep or else I look like the Crypt Keeper. So if you have not heard of the timer method, it's as simple as it sounds. I set a timer for 24 hours. I start the timer when I'm reading. I stop the timer when I'm not. So I am actually reading for 24 hours instead of trying to read during a 24-hour period. Everybody does it different, and this is the way I do it. So we are going to spend 24 hours reading all of the... Oh, I'm sorry. I just poked her in the eye. Are you okay? That eyeball seems okay. We are going to spend the next 24 hours reading horror and having an absolutely great time. All right, we're 21... No. Two hours in. Yeah? This is how far. So this is where our timer currently sets. And I have gotten a lot of things done. I walked the jogs. We did all the things we need to do outside because it is going to hit 100 degrees today. And we are not going to go outside. I'm not even really gonna let the dogs go hang out outside because it just seems dangerous. Some things we can do inside. Our nails. We are gonna do our nails. And today, I'm gonna do a color called Sapphire? Just got stuck in that for a moment. So let's talk about... I want to keep calling it Tastes Like Candy. Is that right? So Tastes Like Candy is a summer slasher. In the opening of this book, we meet part of our group of friends. They are all freshmen at the time at this high school that has a tradition that the rising seniors participate in every single year. We find out about this. It's basically a scavenger hunt, and the graduating class picks which rising seniors, so the former seniors pick the new seniors, that will participate in this scavenger hunt. It is a silly tradition that happens every year the week before school starts. We then jump forward and our group of friends has been picked to do the senior scavenger hunt. But instead of it being at the school like it is every year, this year it's at a local amusement park that's carnival Halloween themed. This is a slasher. We have a bunch of teenage girls in an amusement park that is carnival Halloween themed at night in the summertime. And there's been gory violence that has already happened. And I think it's gonna get pretty crazy. Our main point of view is Violet. She is a rising senior. Her best friend's name is James. Obviously within this group, like within all friend groups, there's best friends or people that are closer within the group. But overall, this is an entire friend group that's breaking into this amusement park to do this scavenger hunt. Violet is our main point of view, and she's got a lot of going on in the background. She's really worried about whether or not she's going to get into this prestigious music program that she's been trying to get into. Her best friend James, who's a shoo-in for whatever school she's going to go to, but she's more of like the funny smart. We've got Blair, who is our local influencer. She has a large online following, and that's what she's going to do after school. We have an athlete, we have the person that'll probably end up being the valedictorian, a kind of wide variety of people that just happen to all be friends in this friend group who are doing the scavenger hunt, and they're gonna be chased by a killer. It's happening in an amusement park after dark too. So like, what's not to have fun there? I'm having a great time. It's very silly, campy, slashery. Like, it's giving exactly what I wanted from something that has this cover. I also had previously started this, but I'm going to be reading it, so we're gonna talk about it. The Staircase in the Woods. I picked this up because, again, this was summer horror happening in the woods with a group of teenagers. I don't know what it is about teenagers and why they end up in all the summer horror. Maybe because they don't really have to have jobs. We have a plethora of free time during the summertime. In this book, we are following a group of friends who are all, in the opening of the book, adults. We have the main point of views that we are getting are Owen and Lore. They were both part of the same friend group as kids all throughout high school, but then something happened at one point, and now that they're all adults doing different things in their lives, they've all mostly drifted apart. Owen is not doing great. He has OCD and is kind of floundering in life as well. To personify his character, they call him Nailbiter. Like, he is just a vibrating ball of anxiety and OCD. Lore has gone on to be a very successful video game developer. They have another friend named Hamish who's gone the way of traditional family, and although he says he's changed his ways, was at one point voted for someone that is obviously a stand-in for our current political climate. We then have Nick, who is, I mean, I guess Nick would kind of be described as the asshole of the group, but these four friends used to be a group of 5 when something happened to them during this summer between junior and senior year. That also must just be a fantastic time to set a horror novel. So they all get an email from Nick, and Nick says, hey, I've got the cancer, and I'm gonna do a die soon. So I'm calling in the Covenant, which is a shorthand for something that this friend group does. Basically, calling in the Covenant means that everybody has to help you out. This is you basically saying, I need everybody to show up and help me do this. All of the friends have at some point during their high school career had to call in the Covenant for something of varying degrees of seriousness. But Nick, since he's gonna do the dead, he is calling in the Covenant and wants everybody to travel to see him one last time. So everyone is traveling to converge once again for the first time in a very long time. We then flash back to 1998 when this group was all in high school, and they go out on a camping trip together, and they come upon a staircase that leads to nowhere in the middle of the woods. And during this camping trip, we know that the 5th member of this group, whose name is Maddie, is going to disappear, and it has something to do with this staircase. So far into the book, what page am I on? Page 126. We have gotten everybody all together, gotten a little bit of an insight into what happened back in the late 90s when all of these kids were hanging out and getting into trouble together. And we now have flashed back to them being adults in the current situation that they're in. This, I think, is going to be some sort of portal horror, that these staircases are going to come into play, these staircases in the woods, but we are also going to have to all come together as friends once again, because as adults, they don't really seem to have much in common anymore. Not that they really had much in common when they were teenagers, other than they were friends. As adults, they have all gone down different paths and are in very different lives, but I think are going to have to come to terms with the things that brought them together in true friendship when they were younger, and maybe also have a little bit of reckoning of who they've become. Because although I wouldn't say you dislike Owen or Lore, they are very specific people, as are Hamish and Nick. And I don't really love anybody. I think the person that we would have loved is the 5th member of the group, friend number 5 who disappeared, Maddie. He seems like he would have been the one, and was the one when they were children, that everyone got along with, and that probably would have been the character that we wanted to follow. But instead, we're following all these side characters who have their own personal hangups and eccentricities. So far, I'm liking that one. I'm gonna turn on my audiobook, listen to some carnage at a carnival, and do my nails. we finished a book. And we are... Oh, no! Thank goodness I was literally looking at it. We've been reading for a minute. I finished... I need you to not... Like, what even just happened? I need you to not judge my hair. I finished The Staircase in the Woods, and I think I'm gonna give this a 4-star. Like, I think I had a pretty good time. Starting off at the beginning of this, I didn't know how much I was going to like it. A lot of these characters, like I previously said, I didn't really love anybody. When we entered the haunted house portion of this book, I started having an absolute great time. This is definitely unlike any what I'm going to call haunted house book I've ever read. We are definitely just delving through the trauma of all of these people, but trauma in general. I feel like, and this might just be because I've seen this movie somewhat recently, but this felt very Backrooms adjacent. Although this was very much different, there was something about the movie Backrooms and this book that had some sort of similar feel to it. This wandering, lost echo of a place where people exist, but I can't really give you any more of the similarities that I would find in these two without really getting into spoilers. I really liked this. I liked that this was about not only dealing with trauma, facing it head on, but acknowledging other people's trauma and how important it is to be there for friends and to accept the help of friends, how friendship and connection with other people is so important. And sometimes those friendships you forge when you're incredibly young are the strongest connections you're going to have. This was these people working through the messed up things that had happened to them and finding a way out on the other side. There is a reveal. You do get answers to what the actual hell is happening in this haunted house type stairway in the woods situation, which was fine. It wasn't that I disliked the answer we were given. It's that I'm the type of person that doesn't necessarily want the answer, but I wasn't disappointed in the answer we were given. Like, I like that that's what was happening. This isn't ambiguous. Like, you know what's going on. They tell you. You get the answers, which some people truly enjoy. So if that's something you need, you get it. You get it here. But we are one book down, so that means we are this many pages down, officially. But since I had already read some, we're not going to count the initial pages that I had read. We'll subtract those from our total. Let's see what we are going to pick up next. I've got some options. I'll let you know. We are not going to talk for long because I'm in the car, and as previously discussed, we're in the middle of a heat wave. So it is going to hit over 100 degrees again today, and sitting in the car without the air conditioning on, because that would be very distracting to the microphone, I might melt. I might just turn into a big pile of melted crayon. I finished a book. I finished another book. I finished Tastes Like Candy. I ended up giving this 4.25 stars. This was so stupid fun. This is exactly what it promises. This is a bubblegum slasher. This is teenage girls and cotton candy at the carnival and people getting their heads lopped off. I highly recommend the audiobook. The audiobook was great. The narrator did a fantastic job of differentiating between each character's voice for the most part, especially specific characters. I just don't know how good they would have hit if I was having to think this up in my head. The narrator gave me so much more. Obviously, our masked slasher killer uses some sort of voice distorting device a la Scream. Having that voice distortion in the audio as well really helped. It was fun. It was stupid fun. I absolutely will read more from this author. Apparently this book was originally independently published under a pen name, and several years, the author talks about this in the acknowledgement, several years after not much movement on this book and this author coming up with some new ideas and some new books that they released independently. Stephen Graham Jones mentioned this book while on a book tour, and so momentum happened, and they got a literary agent and published traditionally under their actual name. So when you look, this book appears twice with two different authors. It's the same person. Just one is a pen name, one is the actual author's name. There's a sequel to this as well, but I don't think I'm going to pick it up immediately. Like, I had a lot of fun with it. I don't know if it's actually available as an audiobook, and I think I would want to consume it as an audiobook. But that means I need a new audiobook because I'm about to go do my hair. Because in case you're wondering, that's what I do. I do hair. Don't judge. I know mine looks awful, but that's because it's been a while since I've done my hair. So we are going to be picking up Summer of Monsters. This is by an author that I've liked basically everything that I've read from him so far. Most of his books have just the silliest, craziest slashery gore happening. They are not, I wouldn't call them dark comedies, but they definitely have comedic moments. There is just an awareness of how silly some of these situations are. Yet it's gory, it's creepy, there's suspense, and there's usually some underlying message that's actually quite poignant. But I'm okay if it's not. I'm okay if it's just a slasher. I mean, Summer of Monsters, a summer slasher with monsters. That we're gonna pick that up. We're gonna enjoy this. I'm gonna get out of the damn car. It's already stupid hot in here. First of all, new hair. What do you think? Looks exactly like it did before, only not nearly as much root. I'm okay with it. We're not going for new, we're going for refreshed. I've hit the 56% mark of Summer of Monsters, and it's fine. I'm gonna keep listening to it. This is the story of Lucy, or Luce, and her father have, at the very opening of the story, they are moving into a new home. They've left the city to move into a very secluded house out in the middle of nothingness. Like, the nearest small town is teeny tiny, and they are far outside of that small town. They have moved out to Nowheresville. You find out pretty quickly that about 3 or so years prior, Luce's mom passed away, and Luce and her dad have been struggling ever since. Dad wants to come out here to the countryside. He's an author. He wants to seclude them so he can work on a book, because since mom passed away, he really hasn't been able to write. So Luce is 16, and this is about a week before school ends, and her father is making her finish up that week of school at a brand new school with brand new people. Honestly, why? Like, that sounds awful. Why would you do that? She and her father arrive at their new home, which is surrounded by all of these creepy scarecrows and completely furnished and full of the things that the previous owners left behind, down to like shoes and coats and groceries. Like, they left everything behind, which is a touch suspicious. Then Luce goes to school, meets some kids, meets a bully. Having read from this author before, I shall say, I am pretty sure we'll get her comeuppance, and that it will be awful, so awful, and I will enjoy every minute of it. But Luce meets some local kids, including a 17-year-old boy. They become fast friends, maybe something more, and she learns the lore of this small town, which also, fun fact, I'm pretty sure exists in the same world as Lucy's grave. There is some allusions to different small towns that perhaps were in that book. So we are in the Sodergren universe currently. There is this local legend. Everybody in the town believes that there are monsters in the forest in this area. Not even just there are folklore tales that there were monsters. No, everyone believes there are monsters in the woods. You don't go in the woods. So Luce is moved into a house that is surrounded by these woods, secluded from everyone, in a place with monsters. Let the carnage ensue. That's exactly what's happening. I also picked up a couple of books, tried to see what stick, and I've decided to go with Decomposition book. This is supposed to be gory and atmospheric and perhaps a little funny. And I have gotten about 34 pages in. We are at part 2. So far, we have 2 points of view. We start off this book with Ava, and she is writing in some sort of journal directly to you, the reader, giving her experience. And I'll read you the first line. Hello, my name is Ava Addison Brown. If you're reading this, I'm either safe or dead. Ava goes on to then talk about how she is on a camping trip with 2 coworkers, and one of the coworkers, I believe his name is Chad, which is very fitting. Was his name Chad? This man is Chad in my head. His name is Chad. Chad says that there is some waterfall that he knows about while they're all on this like hike together. They just have to head off the path just a little while, and they'll see these beautiful, breathtaking waterfalls. Best anyone's ever seen in their whole life. So these 3 people decide to leave the path, follow this stream, and try and find these waterfalls. We also have the point of view of Savannah, who is a 22-year-old woman who has had some sort of nervous breakdown. it sounds like. She has left college. I believe it was a romantic relationship she was in with this other young woman named Michelle, and it sounds like it didn't end great. Sounds like Savannah got her heart broken, but she's also struggling just with her mental health at this point. We learn pretty quickly she's in therapy. Her therapist wants to keep her off of a whole lot of medications. She's only allowed Ambien for sleeping. She has a lot of compulsions that her therapist is trying to help her through. And one of those compulsions is seeing this ex of hers kind of personified and having whole conversations with this person, even though they're not there. Savannah's not doing great. She has left and taken a period of time off of college and gone to stay at this very secluded cabin that her family owns out in the middle of nowhere all by herself. She needs some time to just work through what she's going through. When one night Savannah takes some Ambien mixed with a little wine and wakes up, she has sleptwalked and found a body. And that body in its possession has a composition book. You know, those like little black and white composition books you can get everywhere, but someone has put the letters D and E before composition. She has found a decomposition book. So Savannah has, I believe at this point, found this journal that Ava is writing in. Savannah is going through it right now, and you can definitely tell she's struggling. And Ava, I believe, is going to end up in a situation where perhaps she is our dead body, but we don't know that yet. Savannah is absolutely reeling because she took this Ambien. She doesn't know if she was involved in this person's death. She just woke up and there was a dead body. How it's talking, it's darkly funny. Not necessarily like laugh out loud moments, but just kind of overall not too serious of a tone. A few little chuckles now and then. I think this is actually going to be the kind of dark funny that I truly enjoy, and hopefully Savannah is going to make it. I don't think Ava will. I think Ava's already gone. But I think we're going to be reading this one for a little while. We'll see how long it lasts until one of the dogs decides they want to come in here. Mr. Pizza is currently cooking, and so they're both laser focused on whether or not something's going to fall on the ground. Cheese is out the door. Hold up. Assume your position, my friend. You needed to get in here so bad. The first thing that we need to talk about is my shirt. Look at my new fun shirt. I'm easy, you know, t-shirts. I'm a big fan of t-shirts. We are here because I finished Summer of Monsters. I ended up giving this 3 stars. This is not my favorite from the author, and it felt like it was trying to combine a couple of my favorite books from this author, but nothing really gelled completely perfectly. So far, I have read, I'd say, a handful of books from this author, and my 2 favorites, which is no surprise because I feel like these are the top supreme reigning favorites of everyone who's read these books, is The Haar in first place and Maggie's Grave in second place. This had elements of both, though it twisted and turned and did some different things. Overall, this is the story of a 16-year-old girl who moves to a new tiny town, and the reigning local legend about the forest is that there's monsters in it, and she goes in and there's monsters. The ending of this too was absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. I think there was a point it should have ended and it went on past that. And I just think that's because I like certain endings in my horror, and that's not what everybody likes. I didn't hate the ending. It just felt like there was a better ending, and then we kept going. I'm not really selling you on this. If you have not read anything from this author, you need to pick up The Haar or Maggie's Grave. Or I most recently read, I believe it's called The Suffering. Absolutely insane. Absolutely carnage in a secluded convent full of nuns. And like disgusting and like kind of horny and weird play. Just read The Suffering. Like read The Haar, read Maggie's Grave, read The Suffering. If you really need to pick up Summer of Monsters, it wasn't bad by any means. But I finished another book and I left it in the other room. If I get up, Cheese is gonna follow me out there, and then we're gonna have to come back in here and I'll go get it. I won't be lazy. Hold on, let me go get it. You can stay here. No, see, I came back. Come on. I'll try and be quick because Cheese is going to return and start scratching at the door. I am about 50% of the way into Decomposition book. I don't think this is a horror. If I had to label this as anything, I think I would put this down as like weird girl lit. This is darkly funny and there is a corpse present, but overall that nothing about this is very horrific, scary. We have Ava in this situation with her two coworkers / friends trying to survive in the wilderness. They are lost. So some of that is kind of harrowing, but not necessarily scary. We're just listening to this survival story of these three people. And then with what's going on with Savannah, that's all very much tied up, and she obviously has OCD along with other mental health struggles going on. But I would say what's going on with her tends to be more funny. I mean, stressful in that she's got all of this anxiety and all of these things going on, but also funny. So not a horror. I also feel like I need to correct myself. Savannah was not in a romantic relationship with Michelle, who is the young woman that she's gone through a breakup through. Although Savannah had romantic feelings for Michelle, they were just best friends, but it was a wholly toxic relationship. Michelle is not a good person, and Savannah was very much taken advantage of. But it wasn't a romantic relationship. It was more of a friendship. But that doesn't mean that the weight of this breakup of this friendship is anything less. She is definitely heartbroken by the loss of this relationship. Right now, we are just going through Savannah and Ava's story. Savannah has something that happens kind of around the 50% mark that I'm now more worried about her mental health, but I wonder if what is currently happening is going to be something that helps her get through what's happening instead of being a full deterioration of her mental health. It's not a good sign, but I hope that it's a sign that we are healing and moving forward. But again, like, this is not a horror. This is definitely, I'm going to slot it into like darkly funny, weird girl lit. This is definitely like a weird girl book, but that's where we are. I'm debating whether or not I want to pick up another audiobook or if I want to finish this and then perhaps pick up another physical book. I'm wondering if the next book I pick up, I'll be able to, with reading this and that, get through both of them before the 24-hour mark, but I don't know. I'm gonna look and see what's available maybe from the library right now as audiobook, and we'll see. We'll see. But we'll try and pick up an actual horror. Let me sit down. I finished Decomposition book. I ended up giving this three-ish stars. This is very sad, while also being funny, but also being very sad. We are just with two people going through extremely hard times. Ava is in a life and death situation, struggling in this survival type wilderness nonsense that she's stuck in, while Savannah is grappling with some traumatic things that happened to her, but also trying to just work with the brain she's been given. Poor Savannah, her OCD is just overwhelming at the moment, and she's trying to find some sort of equilibrium, find some way to be kind to herself, and learn coping mechanisms. She's floundering. And we have these two stories happening simultaneously. We are just with these characters in these situations. I read it and I decided, instead of picking up another audiobook, because I looked, didn't really see anything that really excited me, so I decided to pick up The Dead of Summer. I haven't read anything from this author before, but I have seen it before, and it was something that I was interested in. But this is a summer horror with a fantastic stinking cover. Where's my phone? I am like 2 seconds into this, not far at all. 7%. I'm 7% in. And what I can tell you so far is we started this book following Ollie and his mother, Grace. And Ollie is 17 years old and returning to the small island town that he's from. This island is very much a vacation destination for a lot of people. It has a very big LGBTQ community. It's known for fun bars and drag queens, is what someone says. It's off the coast of Maine, and Ollie and his mom, Grace, used to live here. Gracie got leukemia a while ago, and so they had to move to the mainland, to Portland, for treatment. Gracie is on the other side. She is cancer-free, and so now they are moving back home to the small island town of Anchor's Mercy. We then immediately jump from this first chapter where Ollie is on the ferry with his mom, meets a cute boy, having a lot of emotions and feelings about returning to his hometown. Something has happened with his best friends right before he left. He hasn't spoken to them since he's left, so he's apprehensive about this return to his hometown. There is also a hurricane or a tropical storm, I believe, just off the coast. So this is the last ferry that's going to make it in before this tropical storm hits the island. We then, our next chapter, get some journal entries from a scientist that is on a scientific hospital type boat, huge boat. I guess that would be called a ship off the coast. And he has been brought here to do some sort of scientific study. Something has happened on this island. There's been some sort of outbreak of something, and he has been brought in to study what's going on. We then get transcripts of him interviewing Ollie, our character from the very beginning. He has witnessed some stuff. We know it is going to go down very quickly after, I think within the dates we're getting, within like 4 days of Ollie's arrival, this place is going to be completely quarantined and deemed lost. So we don't yet know what's going on, but we know something horrible is going to happen on this island. And it sounds like some sort of contagion, infectious thing. But sure, this is book 1. It says of 2 books. So I have a feeling this is going to end on a bit of a cliffhanger, but I'm okay with that so far. We are on an island and something awful is about to happen to this population. Let's see. Let's see if I can finish it in the time I have left in this 24 hours. We did it! We hit the 24-hour mark. I read horror for 24 hours. And I had a pretty decent, there's a squirrel being real casual. No one seemed to notice. I ended up getting to about the 67% mark of Dead of Summer. And I'm going to be real honest, I'm gonna DNF this. I don't think this is a bad book. I actually like the overall story, and I like that we're getting the story from 3 points in time and different forms of point of view with our journal and our transcripts, and then just Ollie telling us what happens. My problem with this is some of the things that I tend to run into with YA horror. And that's why I'm saying it's not a bad book. YA is just not for me. I am not a YA. I am an old A. That makes it sound like I'm saying I'm an old. I am. These are 16, 17-year-old kids dealing with this situation on this island where there's this outbreak and there is a like government scientific agency type element. So they are not only fighting against what is happening, but also trying to survive against this scientific team of people that are trying to gather all the survivors of this and quarantine them. And the thing that was driving me crazy is, and I think this is because it's a YA, 1, the adults are treating these 17-year-olds like they're babies. They're not giving them any information that they have. They're like, go away, let the adults speak, which if the adults didn't know these children, maybe. There is one situation where Ollie and some friends get stuck in a location surrounded by the bad stuff, and they're there with a group of strangers, a group of who they refer to as the Justins or the gay lawyers, depending on how they work in the sentence. But it's a group of strangers from out of town. And so I could see why these adults would look at these 17-year-olds and maybe not include them in a conversation. But that being said, I don't know if you've seen a 17-year-old, but they don't look like a 12-year-old. And I think in a situation that is life or death, anyone that presents as over the age of 12 would probably be involved in most of the conversation. I think that trope of the adults not talking to the kids is very 80s movie. There are situations where people are going to exclude a child from the conversation, but a 17-year-old is far away from a baby. And in a situation that is life or death, and these teenagers are making very dangerous and rash decisions, adults would talk to them. Like that's at least the adults I know, would be like, here's what we know, here's what's going on, but also try and imbue some like, don't do anything stupid type information. So one, I was really tired of all the adults being like, leave the room, kids, so we can talk. This is pretty like end of the world. Even though it's not the end of the world, this is very apocalyptic on this island type stuff. You would definitely not exclude a 17-year-old from a conversation. You would exclude a 10-year-old maybe, but honestly, probably not, because you would want the 10-year-old to understand the gravity of the situation. I hate that in media in general. And I, again, know that that happens in certain situations in everyday life, right? Your kid doesn't need to know all the nitty-gritty details of everything that's going on. You need to have age-appropriate conversations, but you need to have conversations. I'm gonna stop. The other thing that was really driving me crazy is these teenagers, all of the decisions they were making were very much to create action sequences and didn't necessarily make the most sense. So they would put themselves in peril for no real reason, or the peril felt very of their own making. Like, you guys made a stupid choice more than once. And some of it felt very convenient. Like, I found this very specific thing and I stole it without anybody knowing. And the scientists, if we do this, will let us do this. And then, first of all, if you touch that, gross, you'd be dead already. Second of all, like, no, I get it. Like, your brain is not developed until you're, I don't know, 25, 47. Your brain never fully develops. It's always mush. I don't know. But I get really irritated. And I think that's because I'm not supposed to be reading YA. Teenagers should be making dumb teenager decisions in teenager books. I get that. But I think I was getting more irritated that nobody seemed to be making smart choices, or that they were making dumb decisions based on heightened emotions or lack of experience is what I would assume that teenagers would make the wrong choice because of. But instead they were making really poor choices so that we could move this story forward. All that to say, I'm not going to be continuing on with this. I'm going to be DNFing it. But I think that it is not a bad book. I just do not think I am the correct reader for this book. The correct reader, I hope you find it, because there were really fun elements in this. And I like the overall idea of what's happening and the different mediums they were using to give it to us. I just am not the right person to be reading this. Overall, this 24 hours was not a bad time though. I read some dang books. I got some reading done and I'm very excited about that. In 24 hours, I was able to read this many pages or listen to. These are my rules and I can do what I want. So I'm counting them towards pages, but if you had fun hanging out with me for 24 hours of horror, me and the dogs would love if you subscribed. And if you're reading good horror books out there, please let me know about them down in the comments below. I'm always looking for some good horror, especially some good summer horror right now when it's 1,000,000 degrees outside. But with all that said, I'll see you next time.